than taking a look at ourselves. That's what I want to do with you this morning, is run through an exercise that will help empower you through self-exploration. I call it a self-appraisal. So get ready to write, and I'd like you to answer. There's two parts to this, and each part has two parts. So question one is, what I want you to write is, I just did a brain dump. I can't remember. I remember. What is one kind and loving thing that you did for another person in the last 2 days? So go ahead and write. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to write down one kind and loving thing you did for another person in the last couple days. Six seconds. And that's time. Now what I'd like you to do is repeat the same question, but make it about yourself. So what were the ways, what is one way that you were kind and loving to yourself in the last 2 days? When were you kind and loving, and how did you do that for yourself? So go ahead and write. Again, I'll time you for 30 seconds.
Carolyn, that's a hard one, Mama.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Mm.
It's hard to see positive about ourselves.
Yeah, and I try and live in that, you know? Like that's my, I'm thinking. I think I got it, but I wish it was more than what I'm writing down, my friend. I love that question. It now that
I can't get it to stop. There we go.
Yeah, I wish I now it helps me open up to see more that I can do. I love that question. Thank you.
You're welcome. I want you to take those two questions and I want you to look at your answers. I want you to realize that that's who you are at your very core. You are that kind and loving person who does kind and loving acts for others and for yourself. When we're done, sometime when you have some meditation time or just time to sit and be quiet with yourself, I want you to reflect on who you are at your very core. This is who you were intended to be, and this is who you are. If you couldn't think of something, I can certainly relate, especially if you couldn't think about something kind that you've done for yourself. When I first got sober, they have a routine of looking at yourself, and I came up with 2 full notebook pages full of bad things about myself, and I couldn't come up with one good thing. I was pretty much down on myself, obviously. If you take this exercise and keep doing it, if you're down on yourself, keep doing this exercise, because eventually it will turn around and you will find those kind and loving things that you do. The second half of the exercise is to take a look at some of your bad behavior. Now, unkind, unloving, and maybe even mean behavior. We do this with an air of curiosity, not of shame, not of embarrassment. The reason that we're doing it is to identify things that we would like to change about ourselves. So here's the question to ask. What is one kind and loving, what is one unkind, unloving, and even mean thing that you did to another in the last 2 days? So go ahead and start with your 30 seconds. I'll time it and write one unkind, unloving, and maybe even mean thing that you did.
Wow, Carolyn, that's an interesting one. I'm digging deep for that one. I've been working on my kindness, but there must be something there, huh?
Yes. I'm going to cancel this out now at 1 second. So that's time. When we look at sincerely look at this with no shame and no embarrassment, but look with that curiosity. I want to give you an example of what I discovered about myself. One day, I was eating my favorite ice cream, Haagen-Dazs chocolate. And I got to thinking about a time when I was married, this was maybe 20 years ago or so. I used to demand that we bought vanilla ice cream, my favorite at the time, and my husband could not do his favorite ice cream, which was Haagen-Dazs chocolate, because it was too expensive for us. I think back on that, and I think about that was really a mean thing to do to him, control in that manner. The solution would have simply been to buy 2 things of ice cream. But I didn't think of that in those days. I was too concentrating on myself. So that was one mean thing, an example of a mean thing I did to someone. So now the second part of the question that I'd like you to ask yourself is, what is one mean, maybe mean, unkind, unloving thing you've done to yourself in the last 2 days? And I'll time you for 30 minutes to look at that. Maybe it's that you didn't pay attention to your inner voice. Maybe it's that you put yourself down as not being good enough. You've got 12 seconds left. And that's time. What? That's time.
Hey, Carolyn, I have a question.
Yes.
Would in this, because I know I need to forgive. We're all in this forgiveness area.
Right.
So when I am feeling like one of the things that I may be being that I did something that wasn't so nice to myself, would in that area would it fit as being hard on myself for something that I did? I was expecting something or a certain outcome to happen and it didn't, and so then it's like it wasn't words, but it was like that feeling, and that's, I think, could that fit in with what you're saying too? Because like maybe a bad behavior, not being nice to herself.
Yeah. We get a little bit of a resentment against ourselves, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And what we can do with that is look for the wound underneath the unkind, unloving, or mean behavior.
Okay.
There's always a wound under that. Now, think about your anger and resentment and know that underneath of those feelings or those behaviors are feelings such as hurt, disappointment, shame, humiliation, grief, loss, or the fear of loss. There are all these feelings that are underneath your anger and your resentment.
Yeah.
So I invite you to explore that And when you realize what your feeling is underneath of that, show yourself some compassion. Have compassion for yourself, a wounded person.
I love that, Carolyn. And I hope that
Yeah,
helps everybody.
and that compassion eventually morphs into forgiveness for yourself. What you do with compassion is you open your heart so there's a space into which forgiveness can flow.
Wow. I get that. And you know what I love about this exercise is that I like the first step of you thinking about somebody else so you don't think anything about yourself. So it's so easy to love on somebody at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then looking at, well, what did you do good for yourself? Like, what is that? And then I look for myself and I realized I have to one up myself here. I need to start doing more stuff like what I do for others. So I like that approach you did.
Yes, thank you. It's a very revealing experiment or exercise. I certainly found myself becoming much more empowered when I realized this. When I realized what I'd done with my husband and my thing about what had to be my way, I realized I didn't want that. And so I became empowered to change that. And when I changed it, I really felt empowered because I had identified something about myself I didn't like and changed it.
Yeah.
There is nothing more empowering than that. So although this might seem like a daunting exercise, it really is freeing. It
I feel that.
frees your spirit when you can do this. So I invite you to try it.
Yeah. Now, if I see people in our Facebook group also, write whatever you want about this exercise. This exercise will help you feel lifted because you get to see both sides. So, Carolyn, I'm so happy that you gave both sides to open up and see the things that we aren't doing for ourselves, or that the the people that are really deep dealing with this, there's going to be some big things come out of this, huh, Carolyn?
Yes.
So that's
There
why you
will
do
be
the
some.
yin and the yang to make sure that it balances so people can
Yes.
feel that.
Very important to do the yin and the yang and to balance out with the loving and the unloving.
Thank you.
Because from the unloving comes loving.
Mm. You can't have both, huh, at the same time.
Not at the same time.
I love that. Thank you for your time, my friend. What
Oh, thank
expert pod
you.
are you in? When are you coming? Are you in at the 9 a.m. right after this?
I'm right after this.
Okay. I
Yeah.
can't wait for you to interact with the group. Thank you for your space. I so appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Namaste, my friend. All right, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this morning. We're getting you going. And what was really great about having Carolyn start is it got your mind starting to feel that. So you can put the feel, you can wake up those feelings, get your stirring going. We do a little dance here. And this is where we get the next spot where we're going to go in at a deeper spiritual space so that we can connect you with what Carolyn just worked on, and we opened up some stuff. Now we're going to have Denise Bichad. I love working with Denise. Something very special about her. And she's been told many times that she's the leader of the leaders. And she really is showing that these days. She's helping people get out of the space that the big scared factor. And when you know that you got this, I got it, everything's going to be okay. That's what Denise does, just like what Carolyn did, but you're going to see Denise go at a different angle here. So we're awakening your central energy to love. Now, before I was even able to even be in front of you years ago, I didn't know how to get into the heart. I was very confused. And I understand Denise so much because Denise was in that space too. And so Denise later is going to be an expert pod, in an expert pod, and you're going to get to know her more. But today she's going to lead our awakening in making sure that you get some really good focused meditation. Denise, you just released a book and it's beautiful. The color blue that you have on today is incredible, my friend. And that's the color of your cover of your book. That's your artwork.
It's my artwork too.
Oh, I so appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So we'll learn more as we go into the expert pod. So my friend, I'm going to open up the space for you. And I know you probably want a little bit of silence before we get going, but I'm going to allow you to have the lead, my friend.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you all for being here. I wanted to start off by, first of all, thanking Carolyn, because she really opened up the door to how to be kind to ourselves. And what my journey has been about is going inward and learning to cultivate this relationship with your innermost being. And why is this so important? Because this is how we communicate with our own spirit, is by getting quiet and coming into our center and begin to acknowledge the truth of who we are, which is love. So I'd like to start off by reading a poem from my book, and then we'll go into the meditation. This will kind of set the stage. But the poem is titled, I Am Love. So many things become aware to me when I open my heart for all to see. So much love for me is a part of me. Overwhelmed feelings of love flood my entire being. I am a being filled with love. When I take the time to notice how much I love myself, I become overwhelmed by compassion for all I have seen. Tears of sadness flow for the part of me that has been lost. Lost no more, for I feel the love of being in my body. Tears of sadness warm my blood, for I am finally feeling all the parts of me. I have grieved the love that has been inside of me. Home is where the heart is. And now I have come home to this place of glory that I've always had inside of my body. Here to stay in the grace of my being. I find solace in knowing I can be loved. Loved by me, being that resides in my body. I flow with love and grace for all to see. My heart responds to my thinking. It opens itself to receive the love of my eternal being. My heart responds to my being still. It pulses and vibrates a desire to express love. Expressing love, gratitude, and stardom. You see, my innermost being is housed inside of my body, present with what the heart is feeling. So I'd like you to just take a moment and close your eyes and take a deep breath, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. And I want you to think of one thing in your life that is working right now in this moment. And I want you to bring that into your heart. That one thing. And now I want you to bring your attention to the base of your spine, the root chakra, as we begin to ground in and connect to the most precious mother of all, is Mother Earth. And we bring that attention to the base of the spine, and I want you to imagine that you are your favorite tree. And that beautiful tree, strong, wise, and all-knowing. And that tree has a taproot. And we're going to bring that taproot down through the floor that you're sitting on. And as it begins to connect into the earth, wants to go to the core of the earth, where there's a sun, beautiful sun in the core of the earth. And that sun is radiating love and compassion and kindness. And this energy of Mother Earth is nurturing. And we just want to be held by her. And that ground, that taproot connects to the core of the earth, centering us and feeling your body begin to relax. And as the feminine energy that we are, I invite you to come into your core, into your womb, into your stomach. And I want you to bring a line of energy from each one of your ovaries. So a line of energy comes from the right side, connecting to your taproot. A line of energy from your left ovary, connecting to your taproot. There you go. Beautiful. And just begin to let all of your worries, all of your anxiety, all of the things of the world drain down into Mother Earth to be repurposed for the highest and best good of all of us. And as we connect one more time into Mother Earth, we're going to grow roots from the soles of our feet. And as these roots begin to grow from the soles of our feet, they become very prolific. And they grow. As soon as they hit the earth, they begin to expand 360 degrees around us, creating foundation. And that root system goes down 500 miles. So just imagine you know we're 500 miles. You're going to anchor yourself even more down into the earth, into your body. And I want you to begin to sip this energy of Mother Earth up through the root system coming from the soles of your feet. And begin to draw that energy up, sipping it, coming up through your feet, and into your knees, your hips. And it goes back down that grounding cord, back down to the core of the earth. And we sip that energy one more time, drawing it up to the soles of your feet, your knees, and your hips. And that energy circles back down. One more time. Begin to sip that energy up through your feet, into your knees. There you go, into your hips, and just let it go. And now this energy will continue to loop for the rest of the day, grounding you, connecting you with Mother Earth. We're going to do one more thing that I don't normally do, but I'm feeling called to do it today. And I want you to imagine a circle of energy, 360 degrees around you, starting from your belly button, your navel. And I'm going to call this your concentric worry circle. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull in all of your worries. We're already draining it from the ovaries, but we're going to do one more piece, clearing the aura here and bringing in all of this energy of all of these fears that are not even yours. And we're going to release this energy. So just begin to pull that worry circle in front and back, side to side. Letting all of that go. Beautiful. And now just let it go. Down that taproot. As if you're watching water go down a drain. Watch that energy of all of that fear and that anxiety go one more time. Keep your eye on it. And release. Beautiful. One more piece to ignite that central warrior. She loves it. And I want you to come into your heart center now. And in the center of your heart is your light. That light of your spirit that's always been. And I want you to focus on that light. And I want you to bring that line of energy of the light up through your throat chakra, through your third eye, which is in between your eyebrows, and out the top of your head. And you're going to connect your energy with pure source energy, whatever that may be for you. Connect to that pure source energy. And as you connect to that pure source energy, you bring that energy back down through your crown chakra, through your third eye, through your throat, into the heart. Feeling yourself expand. That energy comes down through your solar plexus, navel, your root chakra at the base of your spine where it connects with that taproot of energy. And now that central warrior is ignited and connected to her source, the earth and pure source energy, sun, God, whatever that is. And allow yourself to sit in this beautiful energy. That's you. Allow yourself to feel that line. Your own line. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back into your space.
It took me a moment to get out of my zone.
Me too.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. And that's our innermost being wants to be nurtured. And that innermost being ignites that part of us. That's that sensual, sexual, erotic part of us that is the feminine. And as we go into our discussion later today, I'll share more about my experience with that.
I love it. Thank you for holding that space, my friend. Thank you. So I was thinking about this, coming into today and looking at this opening ceremony. And I already feel a calm. And I see that we have people on our live group over here at the Fresh Inspiration Show public group also. So I feel this calm that sometimes is hard to bring in. Carolyn C.J. Jones, thank you for doing the opening space. I'm just rotating now, making sure that we have, so everybody can see. Carolyn, you helped with starting to open up that space, and you opened up a big spot there. I got to feel the yin and the yang, the feelings of the good things I'm doing for myself and the things that I can work on. That's exactly what this day is about. Denise B. Shad just took us through this beautiful, motivational, deep into the sensual space and being able to feel that breath, that space into love. And both ladies were able to do that, but they're experts in their own area. What's wonderful about bringing these experts together is that it helps us grow. Sometimes we only have one coach or mentor, or we look for things like this within our community to make sure that we keep our motivation going. There's so many mentors out there, and it gives you opportunity, my friends, to see what kind of tastes that you enjoy. So you're going to go into the Fresh Inspiration Show public group, or you're going to meet us on Zoom, because this is going live in a few different groups. Where I'm going to be able to see your comments is if you go into that group. In my life, I never understood that I could be a leader. Not at all. I didn't even have vocals to speak. I closed myself off fully. And that was the beginning of my thyroid journey. I was about 4 years old, sitting on the couch with my grandma. And my grandma told me I was going to pass away with some kind of family disease. Now, I'm going to keep going on with this story before we get into our 9 o'clock expert pod. But I'm coming in now, not just as the host of the Fresh Inspiration Show, but right now for a moment, I'm going to hold the space as the energy revitalizer and the mindset to freedom. I want the freedom in the body, vitality, and I'm speaking to you out there that are feeling stuck in your cash flow. I'm going to bring that all together. When I sat on my couch, my grandma's couch at 4 years old, I truly believed that my grandma was missing a beat by telling me what my grandpa was passing away at that point, which I was so scared. Being 4 and seeing this happen. Now that I'm going to be 51 next month, I'm starting to see that I'm back to my kid, and my emotions are strong as my 51-year-old going to be next month. But my spirit and where I fit in is that I remember being that young and being that scared about health. And so I want to make sure that you get into your authenticity space so that you can truly feel what you want to clear today. Because at 4 years old, when I was told that I couldn't stop any of the chronic disease that was happening within my family, I got to work. You know what I did? I got a big old plate and I put peas and they were rolling all around there, these green things. And you know what? I couldn't stand them. I couldn't stand the peas at all, but I ate them. Now, as a health coach at this time in my space, I would tell you to never do this. You want to make sure you eat what you love so that you can level it up as you go along. Your taste buds change and your motivation. But I ate those peas and I said, this was never going to happen to me. Now, I knew I was going to pass away. At 5 years old, I believe that I was going to pass away at some point, but I didn't want to pass away from this stuff that if I could stop myself at a young age, I wanted to have a nice, vibrant, less pains in my body that I saw my family have. So I went along in this journey, eating healthy, but there were two of me. The first one was in front of everybody, I would act like I did when I was 4 years old, eating healthy in front of everybody, acting nice in front of everybody. Now it's my other space. And I really want to connect that with where you're coming in today, and no judgment, but just real good authenticity about a good check. My other side was the one that I was struggling with. So if you find yourself in this space, especially with the COVID-19, it's bringing up some things. This other person was the person in the background here. And it was all the chatter and everything that's going on. That's why I made this show. It's because I want this chatter to be cleared. And so as soon as I started acknowledging that I was saying bad things about people, as soon as they would turn their back, I would just say these things to make myself feel good. And I didn't understand that I could actually clear that because it never made me feel good. It never gave me purpose. I felt almost embarrassed. I would turn red when people looked at me. I only had one friend. And now this isn't to say this right now, to say poor me, because that is not what this is about. There's no judgment, but there's learnings. Also, when people weren't around, I would go into the cupboard, and way up above was all this junk food and all this chatter that was going on in my head. All I would do is keep reaching for this junk food until it numbed me. And then I'd fall asleep. And I'd wake up and I'd feel okay. And I'd have that reset for a moment. So as my body was gaining weight and as I was working out, because I worked out since I was 14, I would kind of balance it. So I'd have these two people. One was the upfront person that understood how to play the game. Do you find yourself in that space? Like you know how to play the game. Everything's looking good. But with this new stuff coming into the world that we are recognizing, and that we are a changed world right now. And I was talking to somebody who will be in one of our experts pods later. We did a Facebook Live this week, and she was discussing that she doesn't believe it's a change. So I can't wait to have that kind of conversation in the expert pod. But I see this as a change. And so today, think about the stories that you have. Think about the two people that you want to bring together, that you want to feel in alignment. Because when you got that, you got it. So stay with us throughout the day. Find your space. Find your coach that you like, or your mentor, or more than one. All their names are available for you. Connect. I got the chills. I got the chills. Connect. We need our support. We need to have that drumming. You know the one. Dun 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 dun. That's mine. see me playing air guitar. I want to play and have fun. By the end of the day, 2 to 3, you're going to be seeing this wild woman that I am. But right now, I'm so grounded and focused and making sure that you can visualize you and what's the potential and the stress that you want to get out of right now. What's that stress? Name it. Don't name it. Feel it. Let everybody clear it for you. People are going to be coming at different angles. I'm going to be inviting in some new ladies in just a few minutes so that you can feel safe all throughout the day. Now, if you need to go do some family things, you come right back to us. This is all being recorded. It's right in our Facebook group, the Fresh Inspiration Show public group. Get in there, ask questions. If you need a Zoom link, tell me you need a Zoom link. I'll give you this Zoom so you can come in and your vocals can be open. We're here. And any question you have, I promise you, they'll be answered. We'll try and do it all live so that you get answered right away. Isn't it good to be seen and heard? And kind of embarrassing sometimes, but if you bring those two together, you know, the one that is like upfront, positive, feeling good, authentic, because this is the person you're going to learn more and more in different angles to be today. And you bring that other person and you make it one, because we know that whatever you're going through, you're going to be okay. And we know this because the experts that I have with you today are people that have gone through so many things in their life. They've experienced things, shame, feeling uncomfortable with themselves, wanting to share their love and their passion with people, and they're getting out there. These experts are point of mind right now. People really want to get to know them more. So I'm going to share some more people with you. So let me just give a nice thank you for Denise B. Shad. Thank you, my friend. Carolyn C.J. Jones. I got so much out of the journaling. I was writing, my friend. So you know I'll be asking you more questions. So in this group here, I'm going to look at the comments right now, making sure I have a big old screen up here. So I got you. I got you. Let's see. Michelle is coming in, but let's see what Michelle said. Michelle Hardeman Guptill, polarities. The juice of life is in the messy middle. I know. Michelle, you're going to be coming in a moment and talking, but isn't that interesting? Because we're talking about, I was talking here and here, and we're going to be doing all different angles because we have all of our different angles. But that the juice, the stuff is right in the middle to bring it together. I love it. Denise B. Shad, it's about allowing yourself to play and have fun. So Denise just did our reawakening, the sensual warrior to love. Oh my gosh, Michelle, you are so ready for this. Michelle said, yes, that's what she said. It says it right here, YESS. And then Denise B. Shad is saying thank you to Beth. And Beth Lendrum, Beth, I'm thinking we use your middle name because you have talked there in your Facebook. So when I introduce you, if you could share that with me, what that is. I want to make sure I get your names accurate because when I'm looking on social media, I want to make sure people connect with you. All right, we have a minute till 9, and we're going to be bringing people in. Let me bring in the new people. I'm going to get shifted here. I hope you liked the opening ceremony. We were supposed to have Orgina Rose, and so I'm going to connect with her. She does travel quite a bit. From London to Denise, not Denise, but Orgina Rose, I think London to Los Angeles, and so she travels quite a bit. So something may have got disconnected, so we definitely need to find out. But she's going to be in one of the expert pods. Hopefully we see her there. But let me get this adjusted as we shift. I'm going to bring in Heidi Juve, and I'm going, now that we are on our Facebook live. And then we are also on Zoom. I want to make sure you're unmuted. Michelle Hardeman Guptill, I'm going to unmute you, my friend, unless you got it. You got it, my friend. And then Beth Lendrum, we're going to unmute you. Now we have Catherine Cook. Thank you for being here, my friend. And we have an iPhone. The person with the iPhone, you can rename, or you can be iPhone. That's fine too. And then we have people in our community. And I can't see the names of the people, but you just keep posting, my friends. You just keep posting, and then I will get to you. Let's get the introductions going. I am making sure. Okay. I think we got this now. Okay, so as I introduce you, ladies, I am going to give you a spotlight. So, because the main screen is shown in Zoom and also the Facebook group. But if you're directly in here with Zoom, you can see the other ladies that are in here. So I will make sure I get a highlight for everybody. Okay, so Heidi Juf. Let me get you a highlight here, spot highlight. Heidi, my friend, let's make sure you're unmuted. Say something, Heidi. Are you there?
I'm right here.
Oh, you're right here.
Hi, everybody.
So working right, you know, this is crazy. So, okay, so I know Heidi, 2018, Heidi at the end of the year came into the Fresh Inspiration show. We got so many times and moments to talk together before she came in, did the show with Pepper Fawn, Nicole Diavola, and we had this big, great group in Roseville. Yeah. So Heidi is an intuitive breakthrough coach. She writes poetry. And when we did our Facebook Live, make sure in the Fresh Inspiration Show public group that you get to see that Heidi read one of her poems for her first time. Is that true, Heidi? Did I get it right?
First time public, yeah.
I pulled it out of her, everybody.
Yeah. I am in a public poetry group, but I don't usually read my poetry there. I read other people's poetry in my poetry group. So yeah, I was like, I'm just going to step outside my comfort zone. So it was fun.
Love it, my friend. I love it. And what I'm learning about Heidi, because it's been a little bit over a year since I've seen you, is I learned so much about what you are up to. So ladies, as I get to introduce you, we're going to do a clearing, and I'm going to start the questions, because we are sitting like at my kitchen table, but virtually. And we're going to be sharing quite a bit about what is out there and what you're seeing with your clients and the stress level. And you're going to be giving some tools, because the tools are really important. But I really want some deep, good conversation. Like, let's just let it all just open up and go. And so we're going to get to know more about you, Heidi. But Heidi's doing workshops, and she's out there supporting people that are under a lot of stress. So you're going to see her out there virtually, live in a lot of places. So make sure you keep up with her. And then we have Michelle Hardeman Guptill. Make sure I say both names, my friend. I want to make sure I love that yellow on you, my friend. I love it. Now, as I introduce Michelle, you may have seen Michelle quite a bit, because Michelle has been deeply connected with the Fresh Inspiration Show with the 2020 year, because she was over at the ranch just recently. So Michelle, I'm so happy you're here today to share your expertise as permission. I want permission to have the power. So hold on, let me say it right. Hold on, Heidi, let me say it right. Permission to be powerful. I love it. And what I love is your story and your background is having people that were in your life just saying, you know, you're just too much. Because you're going to find that Michelle is bold and crazy fun. And so you're going to see how she channels that in about giving you permission to really speak. And her focus is on women getting out there and speaking, and stop closing the vocals, open it up. Michelle Hardeman Guptill, I love it. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
And then we have Beth Lendrum. Let me get you spotlighted, my friend, and make sure that you're unmuted. Are you unmuted?
I'm unmuted. I'm here.
Now, Beth, every time I see you, how come you're looking just so much young and just like younger, and like I feel like I'm aging right in front of the camera. So I think I might need to get some extra little special, tips on this thing that's going on.
It's all the self-care I do. So thank you
Oh
so
my
much,
goodness.
Rhonda.
So Beth is self-care advocate, 4-minute flow. Beth, you do so many awesome things in this 4-minute flow where I understand Reiki, we do so many points and can get really complicated. And I know you have that very complex space too with your 4-minute flow, but you go in at some real basic stuff so it's easy and scrumptious to be able to start there. And so make sure that you find Beth, because she goes in even deeper than what you're going to learn today. But Beth, we're going to be talking about this good stuff about, so using some of the tools. I want you to come in, just seeing the stuff that you are watching with your clients. We just did a Facebook Live just recently, and we got some really good juice out of that. But I know with all of our special people that we have today as experts, I know you're going to be saying some of the things we talked about, but I know that there's going to be some more angles that you're going to come out. And that's what I love about this symposium style. Beth, are you ready to give your expert space today?
I'm ready. Woo-hoo.
Excellent. Then we have Carolyn C.J. Jones. I think that you just saw her. Carolyn, I'm trying to unmute you, my friend. I'm going to spotlight your video. If you can unmute. Thank you, my friend. I really loved the journaling that you had us do. And those questions, with us being able to talk back and forth, I hope it helped our community in seeing the depths. Those are surface questions, but they can be, because sometimes we get scared going into it. But I think that talking and also learning more, I love how you shared stories. So people felt pretty safe. How are you feeling today, my friend?
I'm great. Just great.
I love it.
Happy to be here.
Me too. I'm happy, ladies. I'm just checking our Facebook group just to make sure that we're all in alignment here. Yes. Okay. So we are going. We got some comments going, and I'll make sure I speak to those. All right. I'm going to take it off of our spotlight right there. And then as you're talking, you'll be able to have your video focused on you so people get to see you. Okay, so welcome in, ladies. Now, in your authentic space, and I want you to just be explosive and open about this in a couple minutes so people get to know you personally. With all this new stuff, and us knowing how to clear our energy, but sometimes you go to other people too to help us. But when you first wake up in the morning, how have you ladies been showing up? And I'm not going to call on who it is who wants to speak first. You just go ahead and then we'll make sure that, if we talk over each other that, one person backs off. But please share with me being in this profession and knowing that you're going to be sharing tools in a moment as we get conversation going. But authentically, how are you living these days? How's everything going for you?
It's a big question.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well,
Okay.
the first thing that comes to mind is when everybody was talking about how much time they had. I was like, what planet are you on? Like, I don't understand. I'm not having that same experience. And I think part of it is I have 2 businesses. I'm a psychotherapist and I have a pretty full therapy practice. And then I also do the visibility and speaker coaching. And what was interesting for me is it was kind of nice being able to, get clients on Zoom and and be able to go get a snack right there or step outside if I wanted to. And that piece felt good. But what I didn't realize was happening was that usually when I'm talking with people, I'm talking with them about their personal stuff, and it's very different than mine, right? In some ways, like I may be able to identify with pieces of it, but it's everybody's coming in for different reasons. And when this all started, it seemed like everybody was coming in for the same reason. And it was the same, there were the same fears that I was having, right? And the same challenges that I was having. So I was noticing that my usual strong boundaries between myself and my clients was starting to erode. And I was getting really tired and felt really heavy and just was having a hard time sleeping and all kinds of things. And I didn't realize what was going on was a combination of my own thoughts and feelings about what was happening being enmeshed with those of my clients. And it was a real good wake-up call for me to remember that the way that I set my boundaries every day is extremely important, to be able to separate myself from somebody else's experience so that I can actually hold better space. I can't hold beautiful space for people to share what they're feeling if I'm merging with them in any way.
Mm.
And so that was a real kind of wake-up call epiphany for me. And I noticed that my energy immediately shifted. I wanted to go outside and take walks more. I was taking care of my body more. I was sleeping better. And so that was just the first thing that bubbled up for me, was first that I was not having all this relaxed time. I was really, really busy. And in some ways was having a hard time shutting off work, because it's here in the corner of my bedroom is my new office. And I'm looking at my bed right now, and it didn't feel like there was any real separation. And, but now I cover up my desk. I make sure I'm out in other parts of the house. And then when I come back in here, I come back in as my bedroom. So rituals, like separating things, creating boundaries, those have all been really important tools for me to use right now.
I love it. Thank you, Michelle, for sharing. Who's next?
I have just a similar experience as you, Michelle, because I had just been in Oahu when everything started. And so we heard about everything, but we didn't really know until we got back. And everything started the day after I got back. And my phone blew up, and so many clients, and I had just helped my father pass away, and it was a really emotional, thing that I had just been through, and then Hawaii to chill, and then I come back and boom. And I felt like, oh, I really need to hunker down and ground myself every day, because I was starting to feel my clients' anxieties too, and it was affecting my sleep. And so I created this whole new daily ritual for myself so that I can just really hunker down, so that I can be like you, Michelle, and hold sacred space for my clients, because it just seemed even more important to be there for them. And so I do a daily ritual in the morning when I get up, and I drink lemon in my water, and I ground myself at my writing desk, and it's surrounded by crystals and cards. Like today's card is I stand tall in possibilities, right? And I diffuse essential oils, and I have my roll-ons, and then I'm using my acupressure, which is the tool I'm going to share with you guys today, acupressure. And then I've been doing this breathing ritual every morning. So if I don't do it, there's been a couple mornings where I didn't, I really felt a huge drop in energy. Like Michelle, I'd start to feel drained, and I'm a person that can go and go and go and go and go.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like, because we're talking about tools that we're going to be talking about, because this is what people need. And I'm finding that I feel like, yeah, I got this. And so I'll just go right into work, because I'm this is the busiest time for us to be able to get out there to help people. And then I start taking on others' energy, and then because that's what we're there for, is to be able to clear it for people. So I can't wait to hear for the tools, because I have to do my tools every day too. They're very important.
Yeah.
Who else would like to share?
I would. I bring today to the table a gratitude tool. Now, let me back up really quickly and say that when we have a resentment, we're doing three things. We are taking it too personally, we're blaming the offender, and we're telling our tale of woe. Real quickly, let's look at those and then focus on the third one. Taking it too personally. Know that people are thinking of themselves 99.9% of the time. They're worried about themselves, so there's no need to take it personally. As far as blaming the offender, you can do that, or you can take a look at your role and the expectations that you placed on that person. Take a look at that and be honest. And if you did place an expectation, then relax it and let go of a resentment.
I love this, Carolyn C.J. Jones. How are you? I want you to share more of that tool. But how are you feeling when you wake up in the morning? How's this world affecting you? We'll get into more of those tools in a moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel awake and alive and ready to greet the day.
Yeah? So you've been staying consistent with your tools, it sounds like, my friend.
When I made a shift a few years ago, it just is all encompassing.
Yeah.
And it's with me all the time.
Yeah.
And I made it with that self-appraisal tool that I gave during the opening ceremony. That's what made the shift for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll make sure you get to finish that, my friend, because those are really good tools. I want to make sure that you get in there.
Yeah, I misunderstood. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to know how you were doing too. So do you hear that? Carolyn actually is going to share some more tools, because we're going to have a moment for that. This is a perfect time to be able to do that. I just wanted to make sure that they knew how you were. And I like that, Carolyn, because what you're saying is that along the journey, with all the things that you've dealt with, with you being at the stage you're at, that you're feeling like no matter what's coming through, yeah, I got this. So I can't wait.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. And then Beth, did we get an opportunity to talk with you, my friend?
Not yet, but I'm ready if you're ready.
This is our second time, but how's it feeling on you?
So I think that self-care, this is really a key part of all of this. And also being able to see the gift in this time. The pause that we're feeling all around the earth is nothing we'll probably ever experience again. At least let's hope not. And really utilizing, I agree, I'm so overwhelmed with emails and contact with clients and stuff like that, that I had to pause some of that myself so I could catch up. And then it became getting into the flow of it. When I first started, and a lot of my business has been in person, and I moved it right onto over the phone, teleflow, working. And one of the first flows I was giving over the phone with the client, my husband was on a conference call on the other wall, and he was loud. And we were having the outside of our house power washed, and that was loud because, of course, they were right outside my window at that time. So I grabbed my phone and my tools, and I went downstairs, and I go and, I wasn't on Zoom, so I could do it anywhere on the phone. I go into my bedroom. The power washing was loud in there. I ended up in the laundry room.
Is that adding some stress to?
So, it just was learning to really flow with it, and to realize that, fortunately for me, I could do the work wherever I was located. I've now learned whether it's in Hawaii or in my laundry room, holding that vision for traveling and doing my work.
So with I'm gonna bring in the point here of with the transition. Now you actually brought up something, so I want to make sure you speak to that.
Sure.
With the transition of bringing people with your seeing them face to face, and then transitioning, like, okay, well, business is different now. How'd that feel? Was there some uneasiness? Please share with me any vulnerability around that, because I'm not trying to get to the deep and dark side, but believe me, people coming in, we really need to know that everything's going to be okay. So in that transition, what was the feeling as you were realizing that business has changed?
Right. And so I actually had been having some of those visions already of transitioning to more phone and online work. It was a little bit harder to move my clients into that space. And this just, boom, kicked me right into gear and kicked them into gear. And I'm plan on redesigning all of my packages to include in-person and over the phone. I call them teleflows, telesessions.
I love that.
So yeah, so that so it jumped me into transforming as well, and to being able to explain a little bit more. And quite honestly, virtual sessions over the phone are really, really powerful. And some of my clients, I don't know that they'll, some of them drive quite a ways, and now they realize they don't have to drive anymore.
But I love that new solution too. So everybody, what we just heard from is Heidi Juth, the intuitive breakthrough coach, really speaking about feeling vulnerable when it was a time where you thought it was supposed to be a relaxed time. You just allowed your space to be there with your father. If I got that correct, Heidi, that your father just passed on. You were in Hawaii to give yourself a break because you knew when you came back, something new was going to happen. Well, something did. It's called the COVID-19. We didn't realize that was going to happen because it was like right at the beginning, probably if you go into Hawaii. So I love that, Heidi. Michelle Hardiman Guptill, permission to be powerful. Hi, Michelle, thank you so much for sharing about that vulnerability. You know what? I feel the same way, Michelle. If I don't do my work, these four walls, I get overwhelmed. And so I love your story about that. We're going to be talking in your space about the permission to be powerful, but to know that there's vulnerability behind there, and that we are human, and that these human conditions is what we're dealing with right now. And so I can't wait to hear some more tools from you. Beth Lendrum, self-care advocate, 4-minute flow. My friend, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing the transition and how your clients feel about how they've been able to be connected with Zoom. I don't know, for you out there listening as audience, how are you feeling about the space of being more Zoom? Are you able to connect with that today? Boy, I sure hope you are with Inspiration-A-Thon, but you do know that this is the way we get to connect, So it's definitely a choice. Carolyn C.J. Jones, empowering you to resolve resentment and forgive. CJ, you've really done your work at this stage in your life. All the stuff that you have gone through, and it's going to really shine as we go through this conversation, but you really have been able to explain and express how it is when you have resentment and the angles to look at. So ladies, thank you for being able to share. With this new Zoom area, ladies, can you share with me about that feeling, not the feeling, but more about how you can use your tools that you may have had to shift, that may have been more in person or through Zoom, or how much has it shifted in your coaching sessions by the COVID-19? So we're talking about right now the shifts you had to go through in this newness and some of the extra stress and how to connect with your clients. So I hope that question lands with you. Who would like to speak to that? Because we're going to go around the table.
I'll go. I think for me, Well, I've been doing Zoom for 5 years with my clients because I have clients in France and England and Asia. So that wasn't so different for me to connect that way. But I do have clients that I see and I teach yoga to here in my community in Salinas. And it was a generational group that I work with that hadn't used Zoom. And they're so used to me teaching yoga and breathing where I come up and I adjust them. And they really love the community of seeing each other every week. And so I've had to figure out a way of teaching yoga online to get them to connect with each other. And I think that that community piece is so important, especially because a lot of my students live alone, they're in their 70s, and they look forward to coming in every week and seeing each other. And so I've just created little freebie, like 30-minute things in between class on another day where we can all get together and have a cup of tea. And sometimes I'll read poetry but it just seemed really extra but important to add these little connections for people that are so used to seeing us in person, right? Yeah. And so I just had to do this quick pivot, like, okay, figure it out. You got to do this. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this. And then my other people that I teach essential oils and meditation to, I was at the post office like every other day mailing little kits and emailing and texting protocols with acupressure, breathing, and meditations. So it just seemed like, man, my work just doubled. So I had to do this pivot to figure out, how do I connect people that are used to seeing me, and the people that aren't used to seeing me need more? And how can I give them something that's tactile that they can touch and really take a hold of? So it was, I felt like I had 2 days to like figure this out. And, and then I'd asked other people, like I reached out to my fellow healer friends too and said, hey, let's collaborate. Let's mastermind. I've done like a mastermind with a friend who's in business, like every week, to go, what are you doing for this? What are you doing for that? And so, because I have to figure it out, and it helps me to figure out by helping someone else too. So I feel like those 3 things were my big pivots I had to do in the last month.
Yeah, I know that somebody else wants to speak to this, but I wanted to highlight, Heidi, that we're learning to be more collaborative, because I already know that you're a very collaborative person, but when I love that you reached in deep and said, okay, what do I need help with? And I only have a few minutes to flip this. And it's that pivot. And that to me is something that, that's why you're here today. I love that you are very vulnerable as a business owner, being able to be authentic, that I've done this, but I know that there's some things that I want to make sure that I've really seen the whole picture. So thanks for sharing. Who's next and want to explain how you're feeling?
Well, I'll just continue on, Rhonda, if that's all right, since it sort of started that. I think there's a piece of it that's super overwhelming, right? I agree, Heidi, in what you said, bringing in, this mature generation that really hasn't tapped into technology, who's all of a sudden sharing their screen on Zoom.
On an accident.
Exactly. Or the couple that's kind of bickering about where to go on the screen, and you're kind of muting them, and they're unmuting themselves, and it's been but it's been such a joy to see them figure it out.
Yeah.
And to navigate it, and to know that there is a whole other way to do business. And in the meantime, how do we learn as business entrepreneurs to benefit from that, right? I think there's a lot of it's been, I don't know, it's overwhelming and exciting, and creative. Like I just find myself, my creative juices have really kicked in. So
I love, Beth, that you're speaking about the bickering back and forth, because I know at our last month Inspiration-A-Thon, somebody accidentally shared their screen, and it was just, I didn't understand that I need to do some settings on Zoom. So I had stuff to learn too. I've been using Zoom for a while, and then Skype, and doing this for 12 years, and it was like, oh my gosh, how do I get this so this person's not sharing? So I think we still have stuff to learn that we didn't realize we needed to learn. So we're finding, if I'm getting this right, what you were going with this is that we get the opportunity to, in the creativeness that we are, because as entrepreneurs and as people that are watching, we're really speaking to that there is some things that don't feel so good, but in that rawness, we get the opportunity to be able to see something that and learn more about certain things. So I love that you brought that up, because that's so sweet. We're teaching people who have not used computers or Zoom to get a little bit more savvy, get up to date on what's going on. I love it. Who else would like to speak to that? That's a good one.
Yeah, I'll bounce off what Beth was saying. So I agree. My creative juices have been like exploding in so many ways. And what I actually discovered, I'll be real, was at the beginning, I recognized that people really needed and wanted community. And so I did kind of a personal, like virtual happy hour one day. I was like, hey, just show up. I don't care what you drink. Like, let's just show up and talk. And I was able to talk to people I haven't seen in years, like high school friends and people from all these different communities that I had. And it was so cool. And then I realized, because of the client load, like I was getting overwhelmed. And so I started to reduce the amount of like community building things that I was doing. And so that started to drop off the wayside. And then I noticed like, oh, what do people need? What do people need? So I started this online group about, kind of emotional coping skills. And again, it was just like, I felt each of those ideas kind of peter out in some way. And then I noticed myself starting to go into judgment about my own experience around like, am I doing enough? And if I do something and I don't like it, like, do I have to keep doing it? Because I said I would, and like trying to be consistent with things, but also it was such a period of just feeling things out, like just testing out what was going to be effective for my community, what was going to be effective for me, what did I enjoy doing, what did I hate doing, and so I had to really come back to my skills in just like coming back into my body and just asking, what's the next thing? Or what is it that I really feel drawn to do? Not what I think I should do. What do I feel drawn to do so that I can 100% be in service and be filled up by what I'm doing? And so I noticed this whole interesting creative process throughout, and some of my own traps of that inner judgment of like, I'm doing it wrong, or I'm not doing it good enough, or I'm not doing enough, and having to come back and just rest and receive and practice. Like Beth, I'm sure you know all of this, like just come back to my self-care skills, come back to relaxing and letting that creativity come from a very different place inside of me, rather than this expectation that I held outside of myself. So I wanted to name that, because I know many of us are, we're creative spirits and we're in service, and sometimes it's messy. And that's okay.
I love that you brought that up. What I love about you is, and the reason why you're just going to be connected with this show so much, is that the authenticity around this. I think we've all been stuck on this, where we're trying to serve people and do extra stuff. Like, what is it? What do I need to do? And like, we're ready for that creativity. Like, what can I do to help? Because I can feel it. And as a leader, it's like, it's almost our time to rise. Like, it becomes like so powerful that we need to get out there, and you get that energy. But then sometimes the first thing we think is going to work, it doesn't work the way that we think it is. So I love that you brought that up, because I felt that too. And I think it's the most authentic thing to say, because things are not going to be perfect, but it's like typical of life.
Yeah.
So thank you, my friend, for sharing.
And it helps you find your priorities. You know, it really did, because that was a big piece for me. It was I was ignoring my own priorities. And when I resettled on what those were, it made what I was offering much more powerful. Oops, my light went off.
That's really authentic. Carolyn, how about you, my friend? You want to speak to that?
Well, I'm kind of technology challenged, and yet I wanted to do Zoom classes, and this was the perfect time to start doing them. I came up with a class to do, and I had one enrollee, an 83-year-old friend of mine, who was really excited to do this, and she was, you know, all gung-ho, yeah, let's do this class. Well, here I am getting nervous because I don't know if I can run a Zoom meeting. I've been on many, but never actually run one. So I did some dry runs with folks, and that worked out well, and you were one of those people. Thank you, Rhonda. Well, it turns out she didn't know a thing about computers. She knows how to check her email, and that's it. She didn't know how to copy and paste anything. So I thought, you know, if my student can be this thrilled about, you know, embracing this new technology she knows nothing about in order to take this class, I certainly can embrace the technology to give the class. So I'm past my fear of Zoom and running a meeting. And the funny thing is, the class was supposed to start Friday, yesterday. I had my computer guy call and walk her through how to do the things she needed to do, because I'm on a Mac and she's on a Chromebook. So I wanted him to walk her through.
Yeah, I love that, CJ.
Died, so we have to postpone class, which we did. So maybe more people will show up. But my point is, we can all take the attitude of my 83-year-old friend and embrace the changes and make the pivots that we need to make.
I love it, my friend. So this 9 to 10 o'clock Pacific time is about reawakening, utilizing freedom tools. I really want you to share your tools now. I really want you to go in there and share what you've been sharing with your clients, or that you do for yourself. And Carolyn CJ Jones, you were just talking. I would love for you to keep speaking. You know, at the beginning, you were starting to go through a process. Could you go through that process again and finish it off for us, my friend?
Yes. Just to review quickly again, the antidotes for the 3 things we do when we have a resentment. Instead of taking it too personally, realize that no one's thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. So they didn't intend to hurt you. And the second thing is, the second thing is blaming the offender. So take a look at your expectations that you've placed on the person and back off on those if you need to. Forgive if you need to. Then the third thing that we do is we tell our tale of woe over and over and over again to whomever will listen, right? I know I used to do that. Instead of telling a tale of woe, we can sing the song of a hero. Well, how do we do that? We ask and answer 3 questions and answer them pen to paper, write them down. And here are the questions. What is thinking about the situation of which you resent or the person you're angry with? The first question is, what is the positive thing that has occurred as a result of this situation? So what is the positive thing? The second thing to ask yourself is, what is the lesson that I'm learning? What am I learning or have learned? And the third thing is, and this is the most exciting, is ask yourself, what about this circumstance can I be grateful for? What can I be grateful for? You know, there's gratitude in everything, including bad times.
Mm.
There really is. So when you ask and answer these questions, you become inspired, and that inspires you to inspire others. In fact, to the person who is still telling their tale of woe, you give permission to them to sing their song of a hero. And that is just so fulfilling to know that. So use this tool and see if you can bring yourself to gratitude. It's very powerful, very powerful. And the last thing I'll say is gratitude forces forgiveness. The fourth law of gratitude tells us that. So gratitude forces forgiveness, and with forgiveness comes peace and freedom. So if you're looking for peace and freedom, start with gratitude.
Oh, I love that, Carolyn. I love the peace and freedom. And
Yes, it's
and
wonderful.
Heidi added, you're so cute, Heidi. Heidi's one of our experts, Heidi Juf. She wanted to say, I love the feeling of spaciousness and calm I feel when you talk, Carolyn. Oh, I know, Heidi. I want you to speak.
Wow, Heidi.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
I feel like it's okay to slow down and take a breath. You embodied that with your presence. Heidi, that's so nice. You know, our community is so supportive. Heidi, would you like to let me give some space there? Thank you. Makes me want to cry.
I just feel when you're talking, Carolyn, I just felt this permission, Michelle. I felt permission to just like sit back and receive you, because you kind of embody this calmness with your speaking and your presence, that I just felt like I'm going to take a beat here and just take in what you're saying. So I just wanted to write that in the chat bar as I was feeling it, so that you could, you know, get my download on you.
How lovely. Thank you so much. That made my day.
That made me cry. I have tears, my friend. I know it's your turn, but let me just please add. Do you know what's really hard these days is that, you know, we have to stay in that authenticity. We have to. It's not, we get to, but we have to, and we have to keep that heart open. And if we don't, it stops us from growing in this experience. And so, with keeping my heart open and receiving what you just said, Heidi, and the support that you're giving, you're such a love bug, and it makes me feel I'm gonna cry. Okay, you go with your tool. Thank you, my friend.
Okay. So I just tuned into the energy of today and connecting with all of you. And I sort of knew, I know I've met you, Beth. And so I kind of knew, but I didn't know everybody else completely. So I just tuned in and I made a protocol for us today. And it's called the What Else is Possible. And I just opened my book, the book that I wrote, the Superpower Playbook, and I thought, well, what does my book have to say about what else is possible? And I just flipped open to the page on managing fear. And it's the very end of that chapter. And I just honed in right on this superpower tip I wrote called Fear is Excitement Without the Breath. And I just thought, oh, right, fear is excitement without the breath. Because I love going on that giant dipper in Santa Cruz. It's this roller coaster, you know, and I get so excited, like, oh my God, even if it's my 11th time, I'm like, I'm going on the dipper again. Yes, you know, and it's that same butterfly feeling as you're going up the roller coaster and you're like, I know there's going to be a big drop, but I don't know how it's going to feel this time. And I get so excited and I start breathing more because I'm like, I want to just really take in this moment. So fear is excitement without the breath. Yeah. So I'm going to lead us through a little like 30-second thing where we're going to breathe, and we're going to touch this point on ourselves called the Sea of Tranquility. It's right here in the center of your chest. And you can just put your palm there, because then your palm is also going to touch your identity center. And since we're talking into possibility, what else is possible for us right now as we connect together in community and offer each other our tools. So we put our hands on our Sea of Tranquility. That's the name of that point. And then we're going to close our eyes and we're going to take a deep breath. And stay with me as I coach you through. We're going to do what's called kumbhaka breathing. We're going to breathe in and out our nose. We're going to breathe in for a count of 4. We'll hold our breath for a count of 4. We'll exhale for a count of 4. And we'll hold for a count of 4. Okay? So let's start just by taking a deep breath. Exhaling that breath. Good. Then inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Last round. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. And just stay in that deep relaxation space with your breath. I'm just going to read a poem that I wrote for you today while you stay in that deep trance. I'm grateful that vulnerability leads the way towards connection, belonging, and being. It leads the way to forgiveness. We must know that that path to forgiveness exists through the strength of vulnerability. If we could not love, we could not be vulnerable. That softness of being allows us to awaken to the delight and pain of opening our hearts to possibility. Even if it could lead to disappointment or pain, we risk it for love. Despite vulnerability, as we toss it over our shoulder like a tattered favorite backpack that's traveled centuries over favored paths, beloved sands and familiar waters, hand in hand with the awakening of love's sweet embrace. Yes, both vulnerability and love intertwine in a tight braid, enveloping you with a warmth that overcomes the desire for the compass of knowing.
Thank you, my friend. Who'd like to share next?
Well, I will, if no one's going to jump in.
That's fine. You go for it, my friend.
So I utilize a specialized form of a Japanese acupressure called Jin Shin Jitsu. It's something that many people haven't heard of. And although Heidi, sounds like you know it, yay, okay. And so brought to the United States from Japan in the, in the 1950s arena. And I like to say you have the whole world in your hands. I want to empower you to know that you can use your hands in specific placement on your body to help yourself feel better. And the 4-minute flow is a process that I created out of this, which is just holding each finger for 3 breaths, because each finger has a relationship to attitudes that we hold on to, and also to the organs of the body. There are meridian lines that travel from the fingers to the meridians. And so in the span of 4 minutes, you can get an entire full body calm by supporting all those organs. I'm not going to go into that specifically right now. I actually thought I would give another process. Rhonda, you had touched on earlier, what are we seeing with our clients? And I'm seeing 2 really interesting things with my clients. One is they're not breathing. Okay, the breath is shallow. They're holding on for dear life, waiting for the next shoe to drop. And if we focus on our breathing and open it up, it oxygenates all the cells, and we'll release that holding on. We'll create an inner comfort and calm, which makes a huge difference in how we navigate everyday life. So that's the one thing that I'm seeing. And then the other thing that I'm seeing is those people that are the overdoers, that are always running. They're typically wired and tired because they're running on fumes most of their time. That's the little finger energy. I can pick them out of a crowd because they're the ones whose little fingers are sticking way out of their hands. And so what I'm seeing with a lot of my overdoing clients is because they can't run from here to there to everywhere, and they're usually the overworker outers, just addicted to that feeling of the gym, the running, and all of that, is that their bodies are actually coming into more harmony because they can't overdo right now. So it's super interesting. They're actually able to rest and relax and be just a little bit. So those are the 2 things that I'm seeing happening. I'm seeing lots of heads shaking, that people are either feeling that in themselves and or seeing it in their clients.
Yeah.
And that overdoing actually is pretty detrimental to the body. In my clients, those are the people that end up developing chronic, unexplainable illnesses, just as an aside. But the process that I wanted to do right now is because, not being able to touch, having this fear of wanting to connect and not being able to connect, is I want everybody to give themselves a great big hug. And you're gonna stick your hands underneath your armpits, okay? And you're gonna get to the side of the scapula that's right there. So Michelle, I want you to go underneath your armpits. You're going out and above. Exactly. I'm not in the best outfit for this, but oh well. And then your thumbs are on your emotional center. And if you feel around under that scapula, you'll probably find an area that's kind of tender. So that's the point on the body that is about being the director of our life, directing. And then our thumbs are on our emotional center. And while we don't have time, ideally what you would do is do this for 36 breaths. And the reason why it's 36 in numerology, you take that number and you add 3 plus 6 equals 9. And the number 9 represents ending a cycle, beginning anew. And so we'll just do it for a couple of breaths now so you can get it. But I'm going to lead you because in Jinshin Jitsu, we talk about exhaling first, because you want to release and let go so that you make space to inhale and receive. So it's a bit of a different rhythm than typically we're taught in meditation. So it does take a little, so I'll talk you through it, and we'll do about 6 breaths, I think. 6 is about balance, so we'll do that. So I'm going to count for you. So it's 1, exhale, down to your toes. And then inhale, up your back. And then 2, exhale, down to your toes. And inhale, up your back. 3, exhale through your nose, release. And inhale, receive. And then 4, exhale, let go. And inhale, receive. 5, exhale. And I like to say exhale, love. And inhale, love. And 6, exhale. And inhale. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I invite you at another time to try that exercise for 36 breaths. Because with each series of 9 that happens, 9 times 4 is 36, I'm figuring your shoulders will drop just a little bit more each time. And you won't even have realized that you were holding your shoulders up by your ears, but when they start to drop down, so much release and relief. And then your chest is opened up so that you can take that full breath to oxygenate your cells and support your organs on many, many different levels.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Hardiman Guptill.
Oh my goodness.
Perfect. This is great, ladies. I'm in Michelle, when you get to share after that, we're opening the floor, and you ladies, we've gotten some really great stuff in our Facebook group too, people enjoying.
Right. So there's so many different things bubbling up. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to share today. I think the first thing that I want to say is that coming back to the body is always the first step for me. Is there something I can do in my body to regulate myself in this moment, to bring myself back home, to get out of my head, whatever that might be. And I know that many of us have been in our heads quite a bit. And so I want to kind of circle back around actually to Carolyn and what she's been sharing with us, because I think, it kind of comes complete circle. And sometimes we do need to deal with the monkey mind to get back into our bodies. And sometimes getting into our bodies can help keep us out of our monkey mind. So it kind of depends on, where we're at with that. So I want to piggyback off Carolyn for a second. And she said something earlier in her intro about identifying a place where you've been mean to someone else or to yourself. And I want to kind of bring in like a little metaphor that babies are not mean. Babies just feel. right? They feel sad, they feel joy, they feel curiosity, they feel what they feel. And we don't actually learn how to be mean until we learn judgment, until we learn to perceive a situation or a behavior as good or bad. So when we become toddlers, we can become mean, right? Because we have an unmet need and we don't yet have the skills or language to express what exactly it is that we need. And so we use our bodies to express that through hitting and biting and screaming and all of these things. And so I want to remind us, and someone else said this earlier, that our I think it was Denise, our true state is just being, it's feeling, it's being present with what is. And so the tool that I want to offer is actually kind of a combination, I guess, of a physical process and a mental process. And it's self-validation. And I talk about validation a lot in the work that I do, because validating doesn't mean that we're saying something is okay. It doesn't mean that we're condoning it. And it doesn't mean that we actually fully 100% understand it, but we understand what's behind it, right? We understand, like Carolyn was saying, that kind of original wound that is driving this behavior within us. So I know for myself, when I'm in self-judgment, the first thing that I need to do is identify what I'm actually feeling. What do I feel right now? Do I feel scared? Do I feel hurt? Do I feel angry? Like, what do I feel? And then I want to bring it back to my body and ask, where does that live right now in my body? What does that feel like? Can I flesh it out with texture and tone? Can I describe, is it hot? Is it warm? Is it burning? Is it solid? Is it fluid? Like, using all of that language to really distill down into what am I actually feeling and where in my body? And then I need to breathe with that and just be with the feeling, because feelings are meant to move, their energy and motion. And if I can be with my feeling, it will often naturally transform within about a 20-minute period of time. What brings us back into our emotions is this, our brain, our thoughts about what this feeling means, right? I shouldn't feel this way, damn it. Or, I want to feel something else, or whatever that might be. So that's what kind of pulls us back into the cycle, right, of continuously feeling a feeling. So if I could first identify it and feel it, it may naturally move if I just give it time and permission. The second thing I need to do is I actually need to step into my rational mind, my reasonable mind, and ask myself, or tell myself, you know what, it's perfectly understandable that you feel this way. Based on who you are, based on your past experiences, based on what's actually happening right now, it actually makes perfect sense that you feel this way, or that you think this way. And this is where the judgment piece can kind of percolate, right? It makes sense that I feel fearful at this time to go to the supermarket. I don't have to judge my feeling and my thoughts. It's just, it makes sense, right? That I would feel that. And when I can go into that place of acceptance of what I'm actually thinking and feeling, it's like it takes the steam out of it, right? Because I'm not slipping back into the story. I'm not slipping into judgment about it. I'm just being with it. Here's where I am right now. This is where my thoughts are right now. This is what's happening in my body right now. And when I can do that, then I can take that step back into kind of my wise mind or my observer mind and say, okay, now that I know how I feel, and now that I can validate myself for having that feeling, and I get it and I understand it, now what do I want to do? Do I need to just feel it? Do I need to just keep being with it? That might be one thing. Do I need to fix it? Is it possible to fix this? Like, can I actually take an action step and do something about this particular situation? Do I need to change my perception or thinking around it? Like, is there a different way I can look at this? And that's one of my favorite questions to ask myself on a regular basis is there a different way I could look at this? And sometimes I need to reach out to other people for that. Like, can you help me think differently about this? Because I'm kind of stuck in this thing in my head. And then the last piece is I can choose to stay miserable. I can choose that, to just stay with my judgments and the ickiness of what I'm feeling. I can choose that. I think the greatest thing for me that I have learned, and especially in this situation, is to remove should from my vocabulary and to replace it with I chose. And sometimes what we choose feels shitty. But taking emotional responsibility for it and acknowledging that I chose it puts me in an empowered place rather than a victim place of, well, somebody told me I should, right? That's where my judge is going to come in. So if I can say I chose, I can put my judge away and just be present right now, right here with what is. So that process is basically, first of all, identify what you feel, bring it into the body, describe it factually. How does it feel? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What's the temperature? And then moving into my rational mind and saying, this makes sense. This is understandable. And then stepping back into, what do I want to do with this information? And that process is probably something I do multiple times a day when I catch myself in my monkey brain and need to bring it back down to reality.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
It allows us to be feeling normal when you start talking like that. I find that if we don't feel normal, then we start getting at ourselves if we are not using the tools everybody shared. I love how you laid it out. And I love also that you came in here and you didn't know what you were going to share, because then it allowed you to be able to feel what was needed. And I feel that you rounded that out so beautifully. So I want to open up the floor. I'm going to share some things here also from our Facebook group, but we have some people directly through Zoom. Anything you want to ask, my friends, you can do it in the chat, or you can do it by open up your video or unmute. So I'm going to let you have vocals if you want to come in and ask a question, or you can just hang with us here as we're going through this. So we did talk about Heidi talking with Carolyn, and this is a presence of really staying into your authenticity and your heart and really speaking your truth, because Heidi was speaking about that, how she loved that feeling from CJ, and I had to slow myself down because I was crying. I said, if I keep talking, I'm going to really cry, because, you know, to give that kind of love and mirror, you know, to somebody, because I say mirror because Heidi is in a big love space. I think we all are when I start looking at everybody in here. I think that's what the Fresh Inspiration Show attracts too, is that we really need to be in that love heart space. Then Heidi said, I love the ease and simplicity and the accessibility of holding each finger for 3 breaths. That's brilliant. And so that was the discussion around Beth Lundrum. Beth, thank you so much. And I love that new exercise you shared to our community about giving yourself a hug. I'm having a hard time with that. And it's not words, and it's not something I can express that there was a moment that I thought about it, but it definitely filled another layer there for me, Beth. So I appreciate that. Beth was saying, thank you. Oh, and you're saying Jin Shin Jitsu, and you actually spelled it out, and I put it in the Facebook group so people knew, because if they're looking for that. And then, of course, you see Beth's name, and she's been tagged in the group too, if you want to follow everybody that we have this morning. Sabina said, thank you, Beth. What an exercise. I love that you incorporate numerology. I love that too, Beth, because we have a lot of people here that are really focused in on numbers, and you were able to connect that. And that's a new thing for me. So I'm so curious, and I love that you did that. And Heidi also said, me too. I love numerology. Sabina said, I work with it all the time too. Carolyn C.J. Jones said, great exercise, Michelle. And I could see how you two are connecting right now, because it's the vocals and guiding and flowing that help people. And those words are so important, because we were talking about the negative words we can say. And so you did the opposite too, and just like crossed all the negative and brought in beautiful exercises for people to be taking on for themselves. And then Carolyn C.J. Jones said, great exercise, Michelle. We're live, of course, you know, I just said that twice. We can't exit it out, or that one, we can't edit it out. Heidi Juf to everyone, what a great process distilled down to steps I can follow and do in my journal or on my hikes. I know, Heidi, you love doing hikes. Have you, that has to be interesting, you know, with being more closed down. I have found some places to go that are way out where there's nobody. So I'd love that you brought that up about the steps. It is nice. Beth Lenderm said, wonderful gifts everyone has to share. Sherry Breyer, she said, this is rich. I learned from every exercise. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and love. And then Michelle Hardiman Guptill said, yes, I totally agree, Sherry. I know, even as an expert, you know, we were talking at the beginning of this, there is no perfection. So as an expert, you know why we become experts is because we keep searching from others also. We don't have one exercise within ourselves that we can do for ourselves, because we're already experts and we know what we know. But I love being able to see the experts interacting back and forth with each other. That is a very important share. Make sure you go out there and you get some extra support around some of these mentors. Carolyn C.J. Jones, great description, Sherry, that this is rich. It is. There are 3 exclamation marks. I had to do that. Not that it's my personality or not. Denise B. Shad from our Facebook group said, Beth Lendrum, thank you for the practice. I needed to relax my shoulders. Donna Schreiner, I'm noticing, feeling an even lighter Fresh Inspiration show this month. I know, aren't we getting deeper, Donna? We're hunkering in, because the first show, it was experiencing a lot of high energy, a lot of things going on, and it really displayed what was happening there and now. And now we're really hunkering in with the tools, because now we're really feeling it. It's been 6 weeks or so that we've really been feeling it. So we're noticing a difference how we're showing up, just those 2 examples. And then she said, I believe this is a time for learning to deal with overwhelm. This is still Donna Schreiner. We are bringing together this connection between the self and with the others, between ourselves and with others. I love the energy. Denise B. Shad said, if we were not expressing our emotions, what are we doing with them? Oh, Denise, I love that. Donna Schreiner said, thank you, Michelle. I so identify the grocery store thoughts. I see that we have Christy Corradi in here live. I love that. And Michelle is speaking about making sure that she knows that she wants to say thank you for the reflection. And we're going through. Jill Bernard said, good morning, everyone. Love the tuning into the bottom of a funky feeling thought arises and driving deep into it, feeling in every motion. Jill Bernard said, tuning into the body. Oh, she corrected herself, tuning into the body. And then Catherine Brewer, she's going to be an expert today. And again, we're still learning from expert to expert. I agree. I have said yes to everything that has been offered. Thank you for sharing your wisdom to all of us. And Michelle said, yes, I see clients having to sit with themselves in a way they never have before. They are having to learn to be with their feelings. Ladies, we did it. We're 15 minutes after the hour and we're really serving, and I appreciate everything that we are sharing here. That's what the Fresh Inspiration Show is all about. Ladies, do you have any closing stuff? I just want to tell you I love you and thank you for giving such love in these expert pods.
I just want to say that I've been writing from each expert, the exercises and the information. And I just love that you brought this up earlier, Rhonda, that it doesn't matter what we're experts in. We're all human. We all need tools. We need reminders. Like some of us may know these tools, but just we haven't used them for years. And someone speaks it and it's like, oh, that's right. I could do that thing. And so I just love spaces where we can all come together and share our tools and be human and learn from each other. Thank you so much for creating that space.
Mm. Thank you, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I've been taking notes too. I feel like I'm in a mastermind all the time. You know, when we bring all these people together, there's just no way else to express it, but there might be another word, but just off the top of my head, I feel like I've grown so much by being with everybody. And I'm so happy that, you know, I was meditating and figured out that the next thing a few years ago is the Fresh Inspiration Show. And I'm happy to be able to share this with everybody. And thank you. So we heard from our experts today, and I want to double check and make sure that I got all the messages for me. It says me because, you know, I'm over here looking. It says, Heidi gave a little special thank you. She said, thank you so much for having me. That's what Heidi Juice said. I enjoyed this space with these powerful women. You create peaceful space. Heidi, I learned so much from everybody. Beth Lendrum said, thank you, Rhonda, and all of your wonderful women. Ladies, we're all women ready to roar. I can feel it. Heidi Juve said, hi, Donna, big love to you. And Donna Schreiner said something to Heidi, actually, in our Facebook group. So Heidi, you're going to have to check that out. Okay, so we did it, ladies. We are going to be coming back at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and that would be 1 o'clock Eastern. And we are coming in with creating new opportunity while reawakening. I feel this is a reawakening time. We're going to hope that Orgina Rose from the Divine Spirit Network and creator, singer of the Fresh Inspiration Show's signature theme song is going to be here. And Sabina Gork-Schroed is already here as a light body worker. Jill Lublin, the prophet of kindness. This woman is going to talk about how your business can get more publicity, get more awakening. She comes from the heart and she's from the prophet of kindness, but she does so much stuff. Catherine Brewer, mentor to the leaders, and talk about the fifth dimension, talk about all this wonderful stuff. We're going to keep going in deep. And thank you, ladies. We will be back. Mwah. I'll be right back on the same Zoom link. We'll be right back on the same Facebook group. But what I have to say is I love everyone. And while you're waiting, see the beginning of this Facebook Live. Come through and check out the experts. Start following the experts. And if you want to know more about how to move these things online and work through Zoom and be able to bring experts together, please reach out to me. I've been doing this for 12 years, online business. And there are some tricks to it, and there's some flow. And you may have seen me in many Facebook Lives where the technical stuff wasn't coming together. And I still kept my cool. And you know why? Because it's the years of experience. So I want to share that with you if that is something where you're in business and you know this is the route that you need to go. I see it to be the only way. This COVID-19 really changed my both businesses in a very different way. Now the Fresh Inspiration Show is going to be doing quarterly or monthly. You know, this is creative time. I don't know yet until we get out of this, but monthly events like this. And so I want to serve that purpose for you through the Fresh Inspiration Show. Alrighty. Mwah. See you again in 40 minutes. And love you, ladies. Hopefully everybody can stay on. Michelle, I know you have family stuff, but if you can come back on anytime today, but we loved you here for 2 hours, my friend. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.